everybody? Welcome back to an episode of the 3 Count. I'm War Machine MJ, and I'm here today to talk about Monday Night Raw from June the 1st. So let's go ahead and kick off the show. Well, we kicked off the show with Seth Rollins, who was hosting his retirement celebration for Rey Mysterio. And he was basically talking up Rey Mysterio and calling him a sacrifice. You know, the sacrifice of his eye led to greater things. And Seth Rollins punctuated by saying, "When your time comes, I want to induct you into the Hall of Fame." Of course, Aleister Black wasn't having none of that, so he just started scrapping with Seth Rollins prior to their scheduled match, which took place after commercial. During the match, Aleister Black had to deal with Seth Rollins and his two disciples, Murphy and Austin Theory, when Humberto Carrillo came to try and even the odds. Aleister Black wound up winning the match by roll-up. Afterwards, he was beaten down by both Austin Theory and Murphy, and he was forced to watch as Humberto Carrillo got stomped out. Next, we had a short little video from Shawn Michaels, who just started taking the piss out of the greatest wrestling match ever when he picked Edge. Next, we had a backstage segment between Lana and MVP where, I forget the main meat and potatoes. I just remembered the good one-liner of Lana trying to call MVP a leech for mooching off of Bobby Lashley's career. And then MVP turned and looked. MVP looked at her as like, "A leech, huh? Wouldn't that make two of us?" And then she slapped the hell out of him. Which, for once, she didn't scream her bloody head off, so that's a win. Next, we had Apollo Crews, where he basically had his own United States Championship Open Challenge, and the first person he wanted to face for the United States Championship was Kevin Owens. Now, Kevin Owens believed he was handed this title match out of pity, and Apollo Crews is like, no. You worked your ass for this. You worked your ass off for this. KO went like, "Yeah, you're right. I do deserve it. I did work my ass off, but I still feel bad." And Apollo Crews is like, "Well, why do you feel bad?" And he's just like, because your title reign is going to be so short." And they had a good back and forth match. However, during the match, Andrade and Angel Garza attacked both Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews, forcing a no contest, which, after we got back from commercial, was a tag team match. Apollo Crews and KO versus Angel Garza and Andrade. And this was a pretty decent match. A lot of back and forth. The only shenanigans, however, was Zelina Vega got knocked off the apron, and while medical personnel was telling her she needs to go to the back, she's like, no, I'm going to stay here. Down the stretch, however, Apollo Crews put Andrade away with a powerbomb to seal the victory. Next, we had the third in the best of anything you can do, I can do better competition between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. This time they were at the bowling alley, where basically it was pretty much the Viking Raiders were just beating the snot out of the Street Profits on the bowling lane. And then the Street Profits rallied because they went into cosmic bowling, where they shut the lights off and they activate the neon, not neon, but the dark lights and play the music. They somehow caught up despite throwing gutters at the start of the match. But then the Viking Raiders put the contest away with a final strike. And of course, they did the whole hilarity of Viking Raiders about to get kicked out of the bowling lane, but the owner of the bowling lane thought Ivar, what thought, was it Ivar or, damn, I can't keep up with him. Thought Hanson was cute, but not so much Ray Rowe, ha 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 ha. But why should Ray Rowe care? I mean, he's got a wife. I mean, if I was married, I wouldn't care what some random person thinks of me. Anyway, next we had Billy Kay of the Iconics taking on Nikki Cross. And this was a fun enough match, but Billy Kay got the victory, putting Nikki Cross away with a sit down slam. Next, we had a response from Rey Mysterio. Well, in response to Seth's retirement party and the condition on his eye. Um, Basically, from the gist of what he said about his eye injury, he's just like, "Well, I'm ready to go, but I don't think I can risk it because what if I get an infection? Boom, my career's over. So I'm gonna sit on it for a while." And then before he talked about his retirement, Dominic came in, and he was hot, he was steamed, he was livid that Seth Rollins would commit such an action. And then Rey Mysterio continued on, saying he doesn't know whether or not he wants to retire, but Seth Rollins, damn him, damn him. But then he went into that broad description of his wife and his kids were forced to sit at home and watch as their protector, their provider was just maimed in such a way, helpless to stop him. But there was a little back and forth between Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Couldn't make out a whole lot of it since most of it was in Spanish. So Rey got up and left, and they left the camera on uh, on on Dominic, and he basically said, "Seth, you're a man of scripture, an eye for an eye," and then he just left. Next, we had a segment from Nia Jax where she just mocked Asuka and Kyrie, and yeah, she basically said she promised to expose Asuka as a villain at Backlash. Next, we had a 24/7 championship segment where R-Truth won his title back from Rob Gronkowski, who is already out the door with WWE, going to play for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Hooray, not like he did anything with the title. Next, we had Nia Jax taking on Kairi Sane. And can we get a match between these two without an injury? Because, I mean, it's gotten to the point where Kyrie's gotten ragdolled every single time by Nia Jax, and something has gone awry. Last time it was the buckle bomb spot that got the buckle bomb banned, and now whether it was on Nia Jax or Asuka, on Kyrie, we'll never know. Kyrie got just a massive gash on the side of her forehead where she collided with the ring steps. Of course, they cut it out to. They cut out that extended time where the medical staff was checking up on her. But eventually, Nia Jax beat Kyrie with the leg drop. Next, we had a Randy Orton promo where he says he believes he'll win against Edge in the greatest wrestling match ever. Next, we had champion versus champion as Charlotte Flair, the NXT Women's Champion, took on Asuka. Now, once again, Charlotte cut a promo at the start of it that I had muted because her promos could be just winded down to one sentence. I'm Charlotte Flair, blah, blah, blah. But this was a decent match. Towards the finish, however, Nia Jax came out to Asuka's music wearing an Asuka mask, and then she had the Asuka face paint on. Asuka, of course, incensed by this, went and got herself counted out, beating up on Nia Jax. And, of course, Nia left Asuka lame. So then finally, we had our main event as Drew McIntyre took on MVP. Uh, During the match, and it had absolutely nothing to do with anything, Lana came out there. Yeah, it really had no bearing. It was just like an empty plot point. McIntyre got the victory over MVP with a Claymore kick in a pretty compressed match. It was pretty short. Afterwards, Bob Lashley put McIntyre into a full Nelson and refused to release it. Eventually, he did release it, and he just dropped McIntyre like a sack of wet potatoes. And that's how we kicked off, and that's how we closed out Monday Night Raw. That was it was a pretty alright show. Um, wasn't anything spectacular, but we still got another week before Backlash, the greatest wrestling match ever. So who knows? Anyway, that being said, if you miss Rodimus Prime, he has a podcast where he voices all of his opinions. Go check it out. Prime Talk with Rodimus Prime on the Castbox app. That being said, I'm War Machine MJ, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.